Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This morning's opening words come from James Baldwin's classic treatise, The Fire Next Time. Life is tragic, simply because the earth turns and the sun inexorably rises and sets. And one day, for each of us, the sun will go down for the last time. Perhaps the whole root of our trouble, the human trouble, is that we will sacrifice all the beauty of our lives. We will imprison ourselves in totems, taboos, crosses, blood sacrifices, steeples, mosques, races, armies, flags, and nations, in order to deny the fact of death, the only fact we have. It seems to me that one ought to rejoice in the fact of death. Ought to decide, indeed, to earn one's death by confronting with passion the conundrum of life. One is responsible for life. It is the small beacon and that terrifying darkness from which we come and to which we shall return. Hello and good morning. Welcome to the virtual incarnation of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Reading, Massachusetts. My name is Andy Gatchell, and I'm a member of the worship arts team. My pronouns are he and him. Our mission statement declares that the UU Church of Reading is a welcoming place to nurture and explore individual spirituality, build a committed and loving community, and heal the world. We are an intentionally inclusive congregation, serving communities north of Boston and beyond. We welcome you no matter your age, gender identity, sexual orientation, differing abilities, religious background, spiritual beliefs, or political perspective. We welcome you whether the screen you're using to join us is 3 inches, 15 inches, or 80 inches. We welcome you whether you've been with us forever or stumbled upon us looking for solace on YouTube. Though our worship space has been shifted to virtual, our welcome is genuine and heartfelt. If you're watching the initial broadcast on Sunday the 12th, please join us for coffee and conversation in the Zoom Fellowship Hall. You can find the link in the weekly newsletter. For newcomers, during the church year, starting in September, we will have a Zoom chat with a staff member to help you get to know our church. For now, please leave a note in the comments section below, or say hello in the chat, and let us know how you found us. Because we want you, and everyone joining our service today, to know something. You belong here. You belong here, maybe just for the next hour, though we hope for longer. You belong here. You matter. And we are happy to have you with us.
Please join us in our chalice lighting words.
In the light of truth,
The warmth of community,
the fire of commitment,
we gather this day.
May the flame we now kindle
be to us the symbol
of the holiness we seek.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I make my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Friends, please join me in prayer. How will I pray? I will make offerings to friends, to children, and to all who step forward into this day. How will I pray? I will offer up silence into the spaces between, so that the voices of those in need may be heard, and that light may shine upon that need. How will I pray? I will surrender myself to the other, like the rain gives itself to the soil, nourishing the seeds of peace. How will I pray? I will kindle this fire, a source of comfort and pain, with hope and with wisdom. How will I pray? I will get out of the way of justice, making an effort to dismantle the barriers that I have built, the way that spring melts the winter's snow and compassion turns the mind. How will I pray? I will care for myself, and I will prepare myself each day. And on the next day, I will begin again, learning and fixing and living and dying. For today, this is how I will pray.
We have one green card this morning, and it's a joy that's shared to us by Ruth Goldberg. She tells us that her grandson Romeo is entering Kent State University on a generous scholarship, and her family is very proud of him.
Our first reading this morning is by a Dutch Catholic priest named Henri Nouwen. In the face of the oppressed, I recognize my own face. and in the hands of the oppressor, I recognize my own hand. Their flesh is my flesh. Their blood is my blood. Their pain is my pain. Their smile is my smile. Their ability to torture is in me too. Their capacity to forgive, I find also in myself. There is nothing in me that does not belong to them too. Nothing in them that does not belong in me. In my heart, I know they're yearning for love, and down to their entrails, I can feel their cruelty. In another's eyes, I see my plea for forgiveness, and in a hardened frown, I see my refusal. When someone murders, I know that I too could have done that. And when someone gives birth, I know that I am capable of that as well. In the depths of my being, I meet my fellow humans, with whom I share love and life and death.
There is never a good time. We will never be ready to give birth. We will never be ready to be born. We will never be ready to do the hard things in life. We will never be fully ready to die. April 11th, 2019 was another such day. Dying was something I hadn't planned on. It wasn't on the calendar. It wasn't something that my family had scheduled either. At Samantha's urging, I was planning on calling the doctor. My back continued to hurt, despite the medication that he had prescribed. I was just going to finish up what I was doing and ask what he'd recommend I do next. What happened next was a call to 911, an ambulance, and then a blur. My body went into liver and kidney failure. I was about to die. My world was on fire. The blur was not much different than being in a dream. The one thing that I remember from that experience was that I made a decision to live. I'm not sure if I had a choice in the matter, but I made one. I was going to survive. My family needed me. But decisions are the easy part. The work that followed would be hard. The work would be too much for us to do it alone. After the first week in the hospital, I would discover my losses and grapple with the possibility that my life would be very different, that I would be extremely dependent on others, especially Samantha. Many of you probably remember this time better than I do. What I do remember is that my family and I received the love and care of this community. I was relieved that the person whom this affected most deeply, Samantha, was able to have a community to help her through this. This experience is something that many of us here at UUCR are familiar with. It is a wonder and something that I am deeply grateful for.
Our second reading this morning comes from Judith Lewis Herman's Trauma and Recovery, The Aftermath of Violence, from Domestic Abuse to Political Terror. Repeatedly, in the testimony of survivors, there comes a moment when a sense of connection is restored by another person's unaffected display of generosity. Something in herself that the victim believes to be irretrievably destroyed, faith, decency, courage, is reawakened by an example of common altruism. Mirrored in the actions of others, the survivor recognizes and reclaims a lost part of herself. At that moment, the survivor begins to rejoin the human commonality.
While my brush with death was a blur, what has followed has been a time of observation, intention, learning, and work. A lot of work. This year of recovery has provided me with a lot of insight into life. If I could put a name to what I've learned, it might be this. The world is broken. Healing is something we must always be doing. My body and mind were broken. My illness was the result of an infection. While my organs nearly failed me, it was my spine and nervous system that took the brunt of the disease. In the first week in the hospital, I presented with partial paralysis in my dominant hand. The pain continued. There were challenges with my treatment. Early on, my treatment was a bit of a roller coaster. While my memories of the hospital are spotty at best, when I laid in the ICU, it felt like I was sifting through the burnt remains of a house fire, except the house was my body. 2 months later, I left the confines of a hospital bed to return home, but the healing work had just begun. I was relearning how to walk. I had lost a chunk of my spine, the ability to write, and no small amount of mental capacity and stamina. I was attached to a penicillin pump and wasn't sure if I could ever work again. Today, a little more than a year later, I'm still here, in the midst of a global pandemic. I'm offering these reflections from my home. Things have improved, but I am still broken in many ways, yet have started to work again, begun to relearn to play guitar, and I go on walks almost every day. The work of recovery is hard, but in another sense, it's easy. The alternative is to remain broken, unable to do the things that make me who I am. The work was, and still is, tedious, but I found new ways to keep it interesting, like doing artwork and relearning how to make music. I've also found prioritization simpler. Before my illness, I filled up nearly every moment with something. Since my illness, my body and mind have trained me to rest and to say no. But the most important lesson I've learned is that neurological damage often comes with a stopwatch. If you don't aggressively work to heal within that window of time, you don't get a second chance. You have to take advantage of the moment. You have to create and maintain the momentum to heal.
The gathering of our resources toward a common purpose is a sacred act. We have long joined our resources of time and treasure to sustain the church which now helps us sustain as COVID-19 endures. Since last fall, we've been extending our efforts beyond the walls of this church by sharing the plate with a worthy organization each month. The governing board has decided Bread and Roses will continue as a Share the Plate recipient for the summer. Bread and Roses is a soup kitchen located in the center of Lawrence, Massachusetts, founded 40 years ago to ease hunger in the community. UUCR members have been supporting Bread and Roses since 2012, buying ingredients, prepping and delivering meals on the first Saturday of every month. Due to COVID-19, there is no longer a way to safely serve communal meals, so Bread and Roses now uses its 2 outreach vans to deliver bulk food and meals to churches and agencies serving the most vulnerable in Lawrence. With huge unemployment and tenants soon to lose protection from eviction, the need is greater than ever. Members and friends make a yearly pledge. Most donate through a monthly check or automatic payment, but we hold a Sunday's offering to visually demonstrate our generosity and support. If you're paying by check and would like it to go to the church, write pledge on a separate line. The easiest way to give is by going to our website, uurreading.org. In the middle of the page, you'll see online offering and payment. You can donate by clicking the Clicking Here link. At the donations page, you can choose which fund you'd like to donate. To share your gift with the church and Bread and Roses, click the weekly offering, Share the Plate. To just give to the church, click on any of the other fund options. There will now be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this church. If this is your first time here, please accept our gratitude. You've enriched our lives by choosing to share your time with us this morning and do not need to give further today. For the ongoing support of the sacred mission we share, our morning offering will now be gladly given and gratefully received.
Any minute now, the ship is coming in. I'll keep checking the horizon. I'll stand on the bow, feel the waves come crashing, come crashing down, down on me. And you say, be still, my love, open up your heart, let the light shine in. Don't you understand? I already have a plan, waiting for my real life to begin. I awoke today, sudden suddenly nothing happened. But in my dreams, I slew the dragon down this beaten path and up this cobbled lane. I'm walking in my own footsteps once again. And you say, just be here now, forget about the past, your mask is wearing thin. Let me throw one more dice, I know that I can win. I'm waiting for my real life to begin. Any minute now, the ship is coming in. I'll keep checking the horizon. I'll check my machine. Sure to be that calm. It's gonna happen soon, so very soon. It's just the time to lean. And you say, be still, my love. Open up your heart, let the light shine in. Don't you understand? I already have a plan. I'm waiting for my real life to begin. Hey, hey, hey. Hey.
In Greek mythology, the Titan Prometheus is the creator of humanity and the giver of fire. Because he was celebrated by humanity, he invited the wrath of Zeus and was bound to a rock to be tortured for eternity. Every day an eagle would tear out and eat his liver. Every day he would heal. This eternal cycle of pain and anguish was punishment for stealing fire from the gods and gifting it to man. The myth ends on a happy note. Prometheus was eventually set free by Heracles, the half-mortal son of Zeus. I have always been partial to Greek and Roman mythology over the parables of Christianity. First, the stories are so much more entertaining, but I also feel that they're more relatable. The gods and the heroes aren't binary. They are flawed in ways that are familiar, and their relationships to each other are complicated. They seem much more applicable to the human condition. In the story of Prometheus, we can find characters in modern history. I think of Lincoln, a troubled leader who bore the burden of freeing American slaves with his life. We can even see a contemporary reflection of Zeus, a jealous and vengeful god, whose authority is unraveled by the consequences of his infidelities with mortal women. But, as Mr. Rogers told us, we should look to the helpers. We should look to the heroes. And in this story, the hero is Heracles. His story is, of course, complicated. It's a hero's journey of redemption. A child of Zeus's infidelity, he suffered for his father's actions. His punishment was madness and the death of his children. It's hard to imagine a darker beginning to a story. It's hard to imagine a world more broken. His adventures, the 10 labors, were an effort at purification and redemption. The labors are an allegory for the work each of us takes on to move beyond our brokenness. Each labor shines a light on how Heracles moved beyond brokenness to become whole. When our world was set on fire, Samantha and I set down a path of hard work, and we had a relatively small window of time. I had a ticking clock governed by my nervous system's capacity to heal. Samantha's clock was governed by our finances and the strength she had to hold our world together. In my earlier reflections, I made 2 points. First, that the world is broken, and healing is something we must always be doing. And second, you have to create and maintain the momentum to heal. For me, my religious practice is built around these points. Buddhism and Unitarian Universalism speak very specifically about the process of healing. Whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, my practice provides me with a means to heal my body, mind, and spirit. Buddhism and Unitarian Universalism also speak to bringing needed change to the larger world. Part of our church's mission is to heal the world. Healing the world starts with healing ourselves. This is applicable to so many contemporary societal challenges. Addressing institutional sexism requires that each of us reflect on the barriers we have put in the way of justice. The same applies to racism, violence against women, and addressing the global pandemic. Our church is a community of people who can support and expand the scope of healing beyond the individual. We are a microcosm of society in which we can exercise our vision and shine light on what progress might look like. We can also help kindle the spark of change. What I have learned is that the window of opportunity for progress is small. There is a momentum on these issues that we must capitalize on. Otherwise, the inertia of the status quo will bring it to a halt. If we are going to heal this world, we must be prepared to do the work of healing ourselves and our community. I have witnessed firsthand our heroes. We are capable of so much. Making the decision to heal is the easy part. It's the work that follows that is hard. The work starts by listening to our habits of being in the world and coming to terms with their consequences. It means shining the light on our own mess. It means using the insights we gain as a source of compassion for others and a motivation for change. I have seen that we are capable of that work. If we are going to heal this world, we must support each other and shine a light on the healing that is needed beyond. Most importantly, we don't heal the world by saying that we are right and insist that others change. We must be the helpers. We must make the hero's journey. We heal the world by shining the light on how we have worked through the change that was needed.
Though I may speak with bravest fire and have a gift to all inspire, and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess and striding so my love profess, but not be given by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are freed.
Please join us in our Chalice extinguishing words.
We extinguish this flame,
but not the light of truth,
The warmth of community,
or the fire of commitment.
These we carry in our hearts.
How will I go forward? I will offer myself to all. I will be silent to hear the need, and on hearing it, I will shine light upon it. How will I go forward? I will keep the fires lit. I will make way for justice so that the world might be healed. I invite you to do the same. How will we be ready? Today, we must care for ourselves and do the work to prepare ourselves. And tomorrow, we must begin again, learning and fixing and living and dying. This is how we'll go forward.